Oh man, I can't do that. I can't do that corny shit, man. Like, I gotta be true to myself, man. Like, man, like, I just gotta be me, Bob. All right, all right. Well, let's stop fooling. Okay, so I have finally got around to watching the movie Complete Unknown. The Bob Dylan bioflick. Bioflick or biopic. I finally got around to watching it. I want to give you guys a quick review of it. Yeah, and I have to say, number one right off the bat, this movie is a love letter to folk music, and in so many ways, I can really, really respect that. I love seeing passion in any kind of creative project that there is, and it's clear that the director James Mangold cares a lot about folk music because honestly, like watching it, like the runtime is like 2 hours and 20 minutes. I don't understand how this isn't a musical because like 45 minutes of this at least is just songs and dedicated to people singing. And that's another amazing thing about it too, is that the actors are doing all of their own singing, supposedly. I mean, I'm gonna trust in what they're saying. Famously, apparently Timothy Chalamet learned guitar and harmonica and to sing, obviously, for this role, which is just insane. But yeah, so much love and attention given to folk music, so much opportunity for the songs to shine, and they're really honestly the star of this movie as much as everybody else is great, and we'll get to that. It's really just this beautiful love letter to folk music. I'm not really familiar with folk music. I feel like people mostly from our generation are not familiar with folk music, but you definitely get put onto a couple songs in this movie. So I don't know, as a person that just like loves music, I was excited to just see stuff in this movie that I've never seen before. The second thing, I guess, the thing off the top of the head is this cast is bulletproof. Like amazing, 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 amazing. Obviously, we have to talk about Timothy Chalamet's performance. He's obviously been nominated for Best Actor for this movie. I'll be honest, a hot take. I think that he should have got a nomination for Dune instead of this movie. I think what he's doing in this movie is great and it's really difficult and it shows a lot of dedication. But once you see the other people in the cast too, you kind of realize that like everybody's just doing their big one in this. Like everybody's doing their big one. Monica Barbero as Joanne Baez, phenomenal. Boyd Holbrook as Johnny Cash. I genuinely got like chills like watching this guy as Johnny Cash. It was like he was right in front of me. It was fantastic. Yeah, just a great cast. Oh, obviously, Elle Fanning as Sylvie, the main love interest to Bob. In some ways, the creative catalyst for his career. Phenomenal. The chemistry between her and Timothy is just undeniable. But to me, the person who stands out the most, surprisingly, is Edward Norton as Pete Seeger. I mean, without getting into spoilers, which I don't want to do, the way that he plays his character that is kind of bearing witness to this unstoppable force meeting this unmovable object, I guess, that is, the history and the rigidity of what folk music was at the time. It's just fantastic. I mean, not only does he, like, at least what I think, sings and plays the banjo, I believe, in this movie, there's just such a warmth and a glint in his performance, like a glimmer in his eyes. It's just like it's really hard not to like this guy, even when he does certain things, even when his relationship with Bob, I guess, maybe is perhaps strained. He's just outstanding. I feel like he honestly got robbed for. I actually don't know if he's got a Best Actor nomination for this. If he has, absolutely he deserves it. If he doesn't, man, we gotta get this guy one. The third takeaway from this movie, I have to say, is seeing the story of Bob Dylan. Phenomenal. This film doesn't chronicle his whole entire life. It actually chronicles more like a 3 or 4 year period between a very important part of his career, specifically centered around his performances at the Newport Folk Festival in 1964 and 1965. But this guy, plus 10,000 aura, man. Like, wow. I mean, I'm reading the jacket and stuff because we're doing the impression, but this guy, not only do I think this guy is the precursor to every single kind of men's fashion trend that exists today. I mean, in the modern, maybe with the exception of Nike Tech Fleece. I don't know why Central C said that. With the exception of Nike Tech Fleece, this guy was like generationally cool. I mean, cool to everybody, cool to rich people, poor people, black people, white people, like, or insane. I think he's like the precursor, not to compare him to obviously the king of pop Michael Jackson, but he's like the precursor in terms of a guy who just has legendary aura before him. Like, and maybe it's because Timothy Chalamet is playing this character like I don't know at the end of the day. Like maybe it's just me being like this actor is really cool, but I genuinely choose to believe that it's just because this guy was that like sick and awesome and he was so unapologetically himself that I think it's kind of hard not to root for a guy like this, you know? I think one of the most interesting things about this movie as well is how it chronicles history. According to things that I've read, the movie is very, very accurate in terms of its depiction of events, which I feel like when you watch it, you can kind of see that there isn't really room for interpretation. I mean, obviously, there is between conversations between characters that we will never see in real life and whatever, whatnot, but for the most part, it's pretty faithful to the history and it does history really, 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 really well. And so I feel like if you are a history buff, especially a history buff of music, I mean, like if you enjoyed like the Elvis film, perhaps, or like the what was the one with Bohemian Rhapsody, I feel like you're gonna think this film is fantastic because it just chronicles the history of this guy in such an interesting, but also accurate way that you ended up just learning a lot of new things again about folk music, which in some ways folk music was so important. It seems to, at least it seems to me, it was so important to the American history, but largely is low. I think low key's been forgotten by people my age, and I know the hopes of James Mangold, the director, and Timothy Chalamet were that this movie would get people back into the theaters to watch. I mean, yeah, get people into the theaters to watch, but to also to appreciate, you know, folk music, which for me, mission accomplished. But yeah, the thing about Bob is, man, there's something really satisfying about seeing a little punk get his way. That's like, if I had to break it down in one sentence, that's what this movie's about. It's about a little punk who just gets his way. A guy where everybody's like, you can't do that, don't do that, you're stupid, don't do that. And he's like, I'm gonna do it. Then he does it. And everybody's like, oh my God, this guy's a genius. This guy's a genius. Like literally what the movie is for 2 hours and 20 minutes. I'm exaggerating, but that's essentially what it is, comes down to. And personally, I love to see it, man. I love to see it. I cannot lie. It is wildly entertaining. Wildly, wildly entertaining. Any cons about this movie that I have to talk about? I will say 2 hours and 20 minutes is a long run time. I was watching it in a theater where I don't want to be bougie here. I don't want to be bougie. I don't want to be bougie. But it's like the old, you know, like the ones that recline and go all the way backwards. Like, yeah, we love those. But it was one of those theaters where it was the old seats. And I think I got like a chronic knee problem or something because 2 hours and 20 minutes was feeling like, I don't know, man, 3 minutes and 30 seconds on like doing a wall squat. It was bad. It was bad. Okay. It was bad. So if you're a person that can't enjoy long movies, because they're long and for really no other reason than that, wait till it comes out on streaming and you can pause it because this is tough. If you have a weak bladder, it's tough. It's tough. The other thing I will say is, yeah, I think if you go into this movie expecting an entire biopic about Bob Dylan's identity, you're going to be really disappointed because I think unlike Bohemian Rhapsody or Elvis, this movie doesn't really focus on Bob's background. Probably because to Bob, it wasn't really that important. It more focuses on Bob's role in making folk music, I suppose, more popular again, and then also the decision, not to spoil, that he makes regarding, you know, the future of folk music and the direction to take. So yeah, all in all, I really enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. I was really, really, really genuinely surprised. I had to put this off for like, as you can see, like the last like month or so, not seeing it. But once I got to see it, I was pleasantly surprised. I had to give it a rating. Out of 5 stars, I'm gonna give it 4.2. I thought it was very solid. Genuinely, outside of probably Dune, I'm trying to think what else. Probably Dune and Wicked. Probably my favorite movie this year. Maybe even better than Wicked. I mean, like, I don't know. There are some parts of this movie that I think are really gonna stick with you if you do get to watch it and if you really enjoy music, because it's really just a story about one person's artistry. Well, not even one person's artistry, but a lot of important people's artistry and their expression and human freedom. And that stuff is like, at least to me, extremely interesting and extremely poignant and something that I care deeply about. But yeah, all in all, great movie. I will be dressing like Bob Dylan for the remainder of the year. He got it on. And yeah, really great. Okay. Thank you guys for watching again. Hope this helped you make a choice on if you want to see this movie. But honestly, I genuinely really recommend it. Go out there, spend your peas, support movies at the theater. And yeah, hope you guys all been blessed. Take care of yourselves. Talk soon. Also, fun fact, Bob Dylan has released 55 studio albums. I don't know if we'll get through all 55, but you know what? You know what? My challenge for February, I don't know if I want to say it. I'll listen to one song from every album, and then we'll revisit this in like a short or something. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.